Kazakhstan. It's Borat's homeland and the biggest, most toured country in Central Asia. Here, an ancient nomadic way of living has evolved into a fascinating modern-day food culture.
Ooh. Sorry, I should have done that.
From industrialized camel farms with massive milking operations.
Each day, thousands of camels get milked, pumping out white liquid gold that's made the owner of this farm millions.
To being the second highest consumer of horse meat in the world.
Guys, have you ever seen anything like this? It's like a giant Hot Pocket.
In this Central Asian food marathon, I'm on a mission to reveal the food of Kazakhstan.
Oh, really nice.
Food that you won't find anywhere else.
Can you guess what this is?
Some weird alien creature that was caught in the mountains, no?
It looks like it could be a reptile.
And it all starts with their delicious traditional daily diet. Although it may not be delicious to everyone.
Because I heard, sadly, that Kazakhstan has some of the worst cuisine in the world.
I think it's a good argument.
Bekruz, welcome to Kazakhstan.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here.
Now, I've been to Central Asia twice before, but each time it was with you in your home country of Uzbekistan.
Nice.
But this time, you've come with me here to glorious nation of Kazakhstan.
Central Asia consists of Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and the biggest, most toured country in this region, Kazakhstan.
Have you been to Kazakhstan before?
Many times. It's a very lovely country, and for me, it's really important for you to see all the different types of Central Asia, because for many people, they hear Stan, they think it's all same. It isn't. So I think it's a great opportunity to educate people.
And we're starting with this.
MANTI, yeah.
Gotta say, looks a little bit like a dumpling.
From Tibet all the way to Korea, this is a food that may look familiar. Here at Sanim Restaurant, it starts with a wrapper made with wheat flour, eggs, oil, and salty water.
The number one factor that dictates the cuisine and the culture and all similarities are the Silk Road. From ancient times, all the spices, all the culture were intertwined. We share a different version of more or less like a parent cuisine.
Mix the dough, let it rest, then stuff it with one of two filling options. MANTI version 1. The filling is a simple yet flavorful mix of onion, black pepper, and beef, all wrapped in a thin sheet of dough. For MANTI version 2, this restaurant creates a unique twist by adding pumpkin. Finally, the MANTI are steamed in stackable baskets, just like Chinese dumplings.
Here's the hard truth. One of the reasons I wanted to come to Kazakhstan is because I heard, sadly, that Kazakhstan has some of the worst cuisine in the world.
Okay.
Now, who did I hear this from? I saw this on a Reddit post on the Kazakhstan subreddit written by a Kazakhstan gentleman.
Oh.
And he wrote this. Kazakh cuisine, one of the worst cuisines in the world. Our food is bland, doesn't have enough spices, it doesn't have enough flavor, and that it's overall boring.
I think it's a good argument. However, there is certain elegance in the simplicity of Kazakh cuisine, I find, because we're talking about like a nomad tribes. The people are going from place to place, they don't have time, they eat to live. They don't live to eat.
Right.
So it's more simple, it's very high protein, but I don't know, I enjoy this cuisine.
Boom. They're huge. They look kind of juicy inside. It seems like there's meat inside and a little bit of meat juice. But do you just take it in one shot?
It's too big for me. That's what she said. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's delicious.
This is amazing.
It's really good. Wow, the minced onion has so much flavor. The beef is so juicy. The wrapper on the outside, it's a bit chewy. It's got some nice bite to it.
My personal record, 27.
Really?
In one
These
sit,
are big.
I took 27. They were so good.
Here we also have one made from pumpkin. That's good too.
Yeah, it gives a little sweetness.
Yeah, just a bit of sweet, starchy pumpkin inside, but otherwise it's that same juicy beefiness.
I call it pumpkin ice latte for real men, you know.
Right.
By the end of this video, we'll be trying the national dish of Kazakhstan, topped with an entire sheep's head. This is all part of my ultimate mission, to see if Secure Fondant 9549 was onto something. But first, we're teaming up with a local to learn the intimate ins and outs of Kazakhstan's controversial cuisine.
You've joined us at just the right moment because we're in the middle of cooking one of the iconic dishes of Kazakhstan. But this dish, it goes by a few different names. How do you call this?
In Kazakh, PALAU, but in Russian it's mostly known as Plov.
Okay.
So all you need is Plov.
All you need is Plov.
Meet Kazakh local Anuar. He's an actor, content creator, digital nomad, and musician.
When is the last time you had palau?
Yesterday.
Okay, really?
Yes.
You know, I've had this dish before in another country. But I'm curious if this is any different than what I've experienced in the past.
Ет морковьтан тұрады, самсақтан тұрады, лазер рисінен тұрады.
So basically,
But did he just tell you the recipe?
yes.
In 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Chef Nurlan oversees the kitchen operations at Navat Restaurant.
So for cooking palau, we use meat, carrot, onion, and rice.
The dish starts with the meat, fried up in a generous pool of oil. But here's the thing, that oil will remain in the dish, soaking into every ingredient as our food cooks.
What is the go-to meat that people are usually having with palau here?
It's beef and lamb.
What kind of meat do we have in this one right here?
This is mixed 50-50, lamb and beef.
I didn't know you could do that.
Next, add onion, cumin, salt, yellow carrots, orange carrots, some chilies, a bit of water, some more salt and pepper. Add some weight to this mass of food with a ceramic plate to help everything cook evenly for about an hour before moving on to the next step.
Make it from beginning to end. How long does it take?
3 сағаттың ішінде
3 hours, you can cook this meal.
Next, the rice is added, followed by a sprinkle of cumin.
What is it that folks in Kazakhstan love about palau?
You can feed a lot of people. You can eat it 2, 3, or 4 even days.
That's a good ROI. I like that.
After enough time has elapsed, the chef begins the final phase of cooking.
As he's mixing it, you can see the carrots kind of come to the top. It looks very heavy, but it looks super delicious. Right now, he's essentially making a pyramid. What is the purpose of this step right now?
өйткені ристерді ортасына жинаған кезде
It's making a special technology for quick cooking the rice. So when they do it with this, like in 10-15 minutes, and
It's done.
yes.
I've never seen that before.
Once that's done, the meat is taken out and chopped into bite-sized pieces. But that's not all. The dish we're trying today has a sausage of mysterious origins that will soon be revealed. Until then, the assembly begins. First, the rice creates a carby foundation. The meat, then the sausage, raisins, and some boiled quail eggs. Finally, it's topped off with a few chilies for that extra bit of kick.
I don't want this whole video to be comparing the food between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, but just for this one food. I went with Bekruz to this market where they had a khazan that was like 4 meters wide, like 12 feet of khazan. And they're just dumping in animal parts and sheep and carrots, hundreds of pounds of food, and it blew me away. And so now we're trying the Kazakh version of that.
A self-proclaimed world best plov expert, I can say that it looks pretty great.
If sausage is on the top of the plov, it means festive plov. It's not just daily plov.
The sausage stands out for many reasons. One is because of what it's made out of.
It's made from horse meat.
Nice. Should we give it a shot?
Yeah, we've been horsing around for too much.
So I've got some raisins, some carrots, some beef, some sheep. Cheers, let's go for it.
It's nice.
The rice has such a good texture to it.
It's al dente.
Exactly, it's al dente rice, meaning it's not soft, it's got a nice bite to it. It's almost a little bit chewy.
This is the key to plov.
Oh boy.
Chili.
Fresh, fragrant, somewhat spicy. That makes a big difference. Very fresh. The flavor is a little bit different from what I've experienced in Uzbekistan. And I would say it's a lot more beefy, where there's a very distinct flavor in the Uzbek plov because of one ingredient, the fat from the ass of a sheep, the dumba. Do you guys eat dumba in Kazakhstan?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, there's one protein that remains to be eaten. That is the horse sausage.
It's salted horse meat. It's very healthy. If you have in a fridge at least one sausage, it's one of the reasons to be happy.
Okay, let's do it. That's unbelievably good. It tastes strongly of cumin. The fat inside just melts on your mouth, but then the protein section is very lean, so it's a wonderful combination. That's great, my man. In my country, we just use horses for like riding around on.
You are not using it to its fullest potential.
Exactly. I mean, are you aware that Americans think that this is a very strange, exotic food?
Of course I know, yeah, because I hear it all the time. But the thing is that it's nomadic culture. You have how you can survive in these deserts to have your food all the time with you.
We can talk about this debate when animal finishes and when pet starts. In every culture has a different understanding. Okay, isn't a cow cute?
Yeah.
I mean, cow is cute. Like, and what makes the cow less of a horse? Less of a friend as a horse, right?
We have two types of horses. Horses which we use as a transport and horse which we eat. Basically, we eat horses which we don't have emotional connection. People sometimes ask me how you can eat your, it's like you eating your dog, your friend. No, of course, friend is friend. You use it till he's dying. With appreciation.
That's what I do with my friends, like Bekruz. I will use Bekruz till he dies.
I hope you're not gonna turn me into sausage.
Everyone likes dumplings and everyone likes rice. But now, Bekruz and I will take on some truly challenging traditional Kazakh foods.
Give it a little bit of a sniff.
No.
So far today I've had MANTI, I've had Plov, but now I'm stepping truly into the unknown. I don't even know how to say their names.
SYRNE is baranina. This is SYRNE from sheep.
SYRNE.
Yeah, good.
This next dish, it's lamb meat, slow cooked entirely in its own juices. Beginning with a special ingredient you won't find at your neighborhood Applebee's.
First of all, I saw on the khazan, they were lining it with what looked like caul fat, like the fat webbing from inside the sheep. Why do you put that there?
Eldar is the chef here at Qaimaq Restaurant, where he specializes in traditional Kazakh, Uyghur, and Uzbek cuisine.
It's isolation from Kazan, keeps meat from not burning, and then the liquid of the meat is not touching the Kazan. It gives a chance to boil long time.
After spreading out the caul fat, our chef places the lamb meat, already seasoned with salt and pepper, right on top. Next, a generous amount of onion and green onions are added, followed by another layer of lamb meat. This layering process is repeated once more before topping it off with a final layer of onions and one special ingredient, lamb stomach.
Is there something that's special about the stomach? Is that a prized part?
It's very famous and popular, but the thing is, you need to clean it very accurate, maybe 10 times of cleaning. Nowadays, Kazakhs, they're using Coke for cleaning inside,
What about Diet Coke?
I don't know.
Because if that works, I've got the cleanest stomach ever.
After it's left to cook over a wood fire for 3 hours, fried potatoes are added in and left to simmer.
It's ancient dish of nomadic culture. Before, they cook it a bit different, so they put all ingredients inside the stomach, and then this stomach, it was like kazan, and they put it into the hole and made a fire there. After 3-4 hours, it was ready.
The goal of this dish is to achieve incredibly tender meat. So in addition to slow cooking, only the youngest, most innocent lamb is used.
Gentlemen, what a romantic atmosphere it is out here. Is every Kazakh restaurant just completely over the top with plastic horses and like these big structures and curtains?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's very famous here, that kind of style.
Well, why do you say unfortunately?
Because sometimes it's ugly, but this one is okay.
I like it here. 2 dishes that I frankly have never seen before. I started with something familiar, and then now we're in very foreign territory. I want to start with this right here. Bekruz, if you didn't know, this is called radakh.
I don't think that's what it's called.
Can you tell me the name of the second dish?
KUYRDAK. Kuyr, it means a verb, make fry. But dak, it's like something fried. KUYRDAK.
So frying the fried thing.
Yes.
Okay.
All the odds and ends of the lamb that didn't make their way into the SYRNE are used to make a dish known as KUYRDAK. A mystery meat grab bag, complete with lungs, heart, and lamb meat, all fried up with oil and onions. Add diced potatoes, a bowl of lamb broth, and stir until it's cooked all the way through.
It looks delicious. I gotta be honest, it almost looks like a breakfast hash.
Okay.
What? That is like melting in my mouth. That's actually so delicious.
You can definitely feel heart, kidney.
Some things are more squishy, some are more dense, some are soft, but they all are much more tender than I expected. It's really good. It's super heavy.
It's like a hangover food, you know?
It's a hangover food. In a country that's 80% Muslim, it's a good hangover food.
Soon, we'll be trying one of the most pungent foods in Kazakhstan.
I don't have to bring it closer. I can feel it.
It smells like a pasture.
Yes.
Cheers.
But first, well, I'm having trouble understanding just what Kazakh food is.
If I talk about Vietnam, I would say there's a lot of balance between heavy elements and lighter elements and fresh elements. How would you describe Kazakh food?
Kazakhstan is the 9th largest country by territory and the largest landlocked country in the world, with vast grassland plains across the nation.
Meat is a central point of our cuisine. As heavy food, as longer you can stay in the steppe.
Deeply rooted in nomadic traditions, Kazakh cuisine was built on mutton and horse meat.
You know, potato and other vegetables, it's new thing in Kazakh cuisine.
Really?
Yes, my grandmother told me that she remembered the day when one Russian guy bring them 50 kilo of potato, and her father, he didn't knew how to use this potato. He put it under the sun, and then it's dried, you know, like, and they couldn't even eat.
Yeah, it's a nomadic culture. You have a herd of the animal. There is never settlement. So that's why you forgot about agriculture, you forgot about about horticulture, anything else. So your main cuisine is like meat-centric.
It sounds like you're saying it's very high-calorie food. It's these calorie bombs that people needed in the past so they could work in the steppe, in the mountains. But these days, everybody's in their SUV going to an air-conditioned office. So the diet, in some regards, has remained the same. The lifestyle has changed dramatically.
That's why we have a lot of overweight people. We have one word which describes that kind of person, agashka.
It means, hey, fatty?
Fatty, yeah.
I was 136 kilograms before, and now I'm like 40 kilograms less. But do I still qualify?
No, now you are not agashka. You are pre-agashka, maybe.
So that's dish number one. But right here, we have something very special. This Bekruz is called SYRNE.
SYRNE.
Under the onions, you'll find what looks to me just to be meat. I think we can just pile some of this on our plates. It looks delicious.
Nice.
It's really good. Tender, juicy, it's still just steaming hot. And I gotta say, as flavoring goes, it is true. The cooking here, at least what I'm seeing on the table, it's not a lot of spices.
No.
That being said, it doesn't feel like anything's missing. We have our final food right here, the stomach. I mean, it looks wild, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can always like smell. I don't have to bring it closer. I can feel it.
It smells like a pasture.
Yes.
Cheers.
Of course. The taste that you would never ever mix with anything is like very distinctive. You don't like it? I like it. But
Yeah, you don't like it. Hold on, why are you eating some potato right away or fried bread?
I'm washing it down, bro.
Have another bite.
Thank you very much. I'm good.
It tastes like being in the middle of a cow pasture.
It smells like manure.
It does smell like manure.
This is the most difficult part.
Right, it's not easy to make something like this taste good.
Yes.
Honestly, in most cooking around other parts of Asia, it would probably need the help of some other ingredients. And here, it doesn't have that luxury. It's a bold flavor, I gotta say. It's not my favorite, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Take another bite.
Thank you very much. I'm good.
We have one more exciting location to go to. We're going to be trying the national dish of Kazakhstan, a dish that is topped with a whole sheep head. But before that, I do have one more question for you. I want to know, what did you and other Kazakh people think about Borat?
Cultural learnings of America for make benefit of glorious nation of Kazakhstan, or Borat, is a movie released in 2006 starring British actor Sacha Baron Cohen. Globally, it was a hit, grossing over $250 million. Locally, it wasn't so appreciated.
I think it's 70% hate, 30% it's okay.
What was it from that movie that offended people here the most?
Ignorance. Every woman is a prostitute. Journalists from Kazakhstan is such a stupid.
One thing is true, that satire was really new for our culture.
After being part of the Tsarist Empire and the Soviet Union for 260 years, Kazakhstan regained its independence in 1991, only about 15 years before Borat was released.
As a country, we are young. 30 years of independence. Just imagine if you say something funny about a 15 years old guy.
Fair.
You would be offended. Even in that moment, I was angry because I didn't see the movie.
I'll give you a very bright example. I hate movie Barbie. Maybe if I watch it, I will understand it and like it. But I'm not gonna watch it. But that was the same mindset. But once you watch it, you actually feel that it's making fun of US, being condescending, not understanding the culture. The whole point is that they haven't seen it.
Borat made a good job for us. We had twice more tourists because of the Borat.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It's shocking to me to hear that it actually doubled tourism and made more people interested in coming to Kazakhstan. So, amazing.
After trying the tripe, it looks like Bekruz is starting to side with Secure Fondant 9549. But before either one of us can cast final judgment on this nation's cuisine, we must try Kazakhstan's national dish.
Put her there. A pleasure to meet you. I'm excited to be here.
SANDYQ is a high-end restaurant with a fascinating approach. They take ancient nomadic Kazakh cuisine and elevate it to its highest potential using premium ingredients. Today, brand chef Manas is treating us to this country's must-try dish known as BESHBARMAK, and it features not only horse meat, but also this.
Ooh. This is, sorry, I should have done that.
To make this dish, freshly made kazi, or horse sausage, is boiled along with dried horse leg meat and aged meat, also from a horse. The sheep head is boiled in a separate pot with salt.
Why does this go on top of the BESHBARMAK? It's such a random body part.
There is one legend. One of Kazakh knight was in the prison of the enemies. There was one type of tortures is giving one ingredient of food. And if human eats only one ingredient, like meat, after a while, he will be crazy. And this guy, he was very smart and he said, okay, I will eat only head of sheep. But why? Because this part of the body has all minerals and vitamins, so he could survive for a long time. Because of this, they give him freedom. This is true story.
Is true?
Yeah.
Very smart. I would have said pizza.
3 egg yolks are mixed into a bowl of flour, followed by salted water and a bit of oil. The dough is then kneaded, then left to rest for 30 minutes. After resting, the dough is kneaded again before being rolled out and cut into noodles.
Food is very important thing in our culture, and through the foods you could give information and signals to your guests. So if you're giving head without teeth, it is like the highest respect.
The same in America, to be honest.
But if you give head with the teeth, it means you have some offense for your guests.
Boil the square noodles in a meat broth. This will become the base for our grand finale.
This part, in ancient time, it was given for a woman, but this is for a very respectful man.
Man, am I right? Nice.
Now that the meats have finished boiling, the chef gets to slicing. First the dried meat, then the aged, then the triumphant horse sausage. On a plate, all the ingredients come together. The flat noodles, boiled potatoes, and horse meat in its various forms. The plate is garnished with boiled carrots, fresh chilies, caramelized onions, and some greens. Finally, the entire meal is crowned with a boiled sheep's head.
This restaurant did something special for us. They usually serve this without the head. But I know that traditionally the head is such an important, vital part of the dish. We said, hey, can you throw in some head? They said yes. No teeth even.
Yeah.
But first, a special beverage.
Fermented horse milk,
Well, it's fermented. Does that mean there's alcohol in it?
around 4 or 5 degrees.
Wouldn't that make it haram?
It's very hard to get buzz on this. You need like liters and liters.
You're gonna have something worse than a hangover if you do that.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so smoky. It tastes like burnt hay. Plus it's a bit sour. It's very thin. It's not like a creamy milk.
They keep it inside the smoke bottle from the wood.
Almost like a wine or bourbon, you know?
And this is something that's actually on the menu.
They have 6 different variations apparently.
Oh, wow.
BESHBARMAK means 5 fingers.
Cheers.
And they call it that because that's exactly how you eat it.
Wow. The noodles have a wonderful texture, gentle, delicate. They're the perfect base. Then alongside that, we have horse meat. That's like a slow-cooked horse brisket. Even though it's very lean, it's still very soft. That's delicious. Now, this is the boiled horse. I like horse. It's stunning. It's so good. I can't believe it. It's blowing my mind. You know, me 5-6 years ago, when I was newer to trying food around the world, I would have been a little bit more inhibited, scared, intimidated. But now, I enjoy it with the full passion of my being. So right now, we're left with the head. What's the aim here? What are we after?
By tradition, the head is given to respectful guests.
I'm fine with that if you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who wants an ear?
Okay, I take.
All right, here you go, my man. 1 ear for you. Bekruz. This is a pile of snout and skull meat, pretty close to the cheek. There you go.
Oh.
This is a tongue. Can I eat the tongue?
Everything is eatable.
Gentlemen, cheers. That's honestly pretty dang good.
It's good, but it's so oily.
Better than the sheep stomach?
Yeah, 100%.
I gotta say, the tongue's pretty dang good. It's really broken down, tender.
I want you to eat the eyeball, bro.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna just, like a crowbar. Oh, you know what? I can just use my finger. I can just pop it out. Oh, no.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, that's something.
Your eyesight will become better, bro.
Here I go. You know, I just realized this has 2 eyes.
Yeah, I'm not eating it.
My friend, cheers.
For the glorious nation of Kazakhstan.
I'm pretty good.
That's better than I thought.
Super oily.
Super oily, yeah.
I can't even tell where the eye began and the muscle ended, and there's a bunch of nerves and wiring, tissue. Not bad. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this meal overall, but I have to reveal something to you now. I need to confess. I started today with the assumption that Kazakhstan may have the worst cuisine in the world. Is it truly bland and flavorless and lacking variety? Now, I can say the food does not have a ton of spices, but I think the cooking here really centers around pure ingredients and natural flavors. And I think that's the strength of the cuisine. They're using stuff like horse meat or sausage or noodles just soaked in this animal oil, and it already contains a ton of flavor. It doesn't need a bunch of other ingredients. And so in the end, I thought pretty much everything today was delicious.
So far, I can say my first taste of Kazakh food has been amazing. But what happens when you go from Kazakh classics to eating this country's most rare foods? Foods like stuffed horse heart. But first, we're checking out some unique delicacies here at Green Market. And soon, we'll be buying some gnarly ingredients to cook up later.
Could you tell me a little bit about this market?
It's the oldest market in Almaty.
Meet Aliya. She's an Almaty born and raised combat stunt woman who's entertained millions through her work on The Last of Us and many other shows.
It was developed in USSR time. You can pretty much find anything here.
Despite living in a developed city with modern grocery stores, some Kazakh folks still enjoy shopping here at this 149-year-old traditional market.
It has a soul. You get connections with people here.
I like that, and I think, there's a similar draw to that feel in the USA. We have like farmers markets. And also the vendors, they kind of have to be nice to seduce you into buying more food. And then it creates a nice dynamic between the two people. I love it.
To really know a country, you must allow yourself to get lost in a market like this. Here, you'll find foods that exist nowhere else. The building blocks of a cuisine unlike any other.
This is the dairy section, full of every different type of cheese I never knew even existed. What am I looking at here, ma'am?
Starting the day strong with an Almaty appetizer, this unusual dairy product.
That would be cheese with apricot.
From what animal?
Cow.
Huh? She said, no, thank you.
Tastes like a candy. I like it.
It tastes like dried, mashed up apricots.
There is no sugar, so people who has diabetes, they would always get that.
Diabetics, take note. Oh, so this is a camel cheese right here?
They boil camel milk and then dry it.
Do you want some? Okay. She's like, I'm good. Cheers. Whoa, it's a very sharp flavor, a little stinky like blue cheese. It's a strong flavor.
Yeah, I can smell camel here.
I love it. She says when you eat this cheese, your body doesn't need anything else.
So it's very nutritious.
Got it. Right here we have what I'm told is called clay.
There is a lot of minerals in this clay, a lot of calcium and magnesium.
Yeah, take a little bit. Wow, she's over the dairy, but she's not over the clay. What do you like about it?
I don't know, man. I'm still contemplating.
It's kind of like eating mud.
It is like eating mud.
It is mud. It's basically mud. Do you like the flavor, or do you just eat it for the health benefits?
She likes the flavor.
Cheeses of strange origin are great, but what really sets this market apart from any other around the world is what you'll find in the meat section.
Sir, do you eat a lot of horse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meet Talabani, a 17-year-old butchering veteran who also dabbles in TikTok.
Look at this guy. He's built like a freaking tank.
Now, he's going to present us with 5 of his most bizarre meat selections, some that we'll soon be tasting ourselves later in this video.
Starting with this. It's a cow, but they essentially took the leg and just got this huge cross-section out of it. It looks like a massive steak.
This piece of meat is universal. You can use it for anything you want.
It's really cool seeing a piece of meat that big. Right here, food number 2, cow feet. Are people eating every part of the cow? Okay, what about the testicles? Right here, food number 3, the head.
Folks adept at using their head know that these are excellent when braised and eaten with BESHBARMAK, but we already tried that yesterday.
If the teeth are small, that means the sheep was young.
How old was this sheep right here?
1 year, 2 months, and 3 days.
Wow, this guy's good. What was its name?
Steven.
Wow, that sounds like an American name. That's amazing. Our next unique market food right here, this.
It's a horse heart.
In a country that eats horse as much as we Americans eat pork, you're bound to come across plenty of horse hearts.
Oh my God, massive.
This bad and big.
Horse have a big heart because horse loves everything in the world.
Oh, wow, this guy's kind of a poet.
By the end of this video, we'll see a chef turn this heart into a delightfully bizarre traditional Kazakh dish.
There is one food you're probably not going to be looking forward to. Bekruz, may I present to you a sheep's stomach?
Looks great.
Actually, you saw one yesterday.
Of course. Unfortunately, the girl who washed it was not that thorough.
Yeah, big fan, huh?
Oh, yes. This is the reason why I don't like this food.
It's specific smell.
But you're a fan, huh?
Every day.
Every day. So, Bekruz, you've seen the raw ingredient. Now it's time to see it in action.
Remember MANTI, the traditional Kazakh dumpling with savory beef stuffed inside a steamed wheat dough wrapper? Well, that recipe has remained unchanged for thousands of years. That was until now.
The difference is instead of a wheat wrapper, they use stomach.
This is wild.
So how does that work? Well, here we have Chef Binazar to explain.
The owner of this establishment is right behind the camera, 10 feet away. She can hear every word you're saying. I want you to do an impression of somebody who's just taken a bite of this type of MANTI.
Just like this.
That looked like confusion.
This unique MANTI recipe begins with chunks of beef mixed with beef fat and onion that gets seasoned with Kazakhstan's holy trinity: garlic, pepper, and salt. This will be our MANTI filling. Now entering Bekruz's nightmare, the sheep's stomach.
Smells good.
Definitely.
Filled up with the seasoned beef, then tied shut and cut into the most baffling dumpling in the history of dumplings.
Не знаю, и по вкусу так.
It's very delicious and it's something new, so it became very popular here.
Finally, instead of being steamed, these sheep stomach dumplings head into a pot of rich and potent lamb broth, where they simmer for 2 to 3 hours to fully soak in that gamey sheep goodness.
The daughter of the owner of this restaurant came up with this recipe.
I wonder if that daughter was watching and her favorite movie was like Frankenstein, you know?
How do you feel about the smell?
I don't feel good.
Smells delicious to me.
Oh, look at this. The pattern of the stomach on here. It's like a honeycomb. Just gorgeous.
I thought it's like a dumpling inside it, so I would unwrap it and I wanted to eat the dumpling, and my plan failed.
I don't think you unwrap it. I think you just bite it like an apple.
Oh, are you waiting for me?
First of all, it's very heavy. And just the stomach alone is quite filling. You can see the tissue of the stomach tearing apart. Oh, you're on to bite number 2 over here. The inside is pleasant. It's beefy, there's onion, there's garlic, a little bit of fat for some juice.
I think it's absolutely delicious. I love it. I would come back here for sure.
It's like kind of daredevil type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is food that leaves an impression. It rents out a little room in your mind and it stays there for eternity. Impossible to evict like squatters in California. As a child, are you eating animal organs like this?
All the time. It's a normal thing for you.
This is kind of a warm-up for today. We had a little bit of clay, we had this, but what we're building up to is a stuffed horse heart. But first, we gotta make a quick stop for something extra special.
I've tried beef and I've tried quail, but here they're combining this unlikely duo with some beef stuffed birdies.
I love that even though we're eating poultry, they still have to find a way to stuff some kind of ruminant animal in there. Here's my question. What's more nutritious, horse or quail?
Очень полезная шурпа.
Quail.
Horses are gonna be very upset about this.
Meet Camilla, working to show off Almaty's best features in an effort to draw in more tourism. Next to her, sous chef Hassan, explaining this mysterious meat dish. First, cut the beef down, mincing it into finer pieces. Give the same treatment to onion and combine the two.
This is very common in the southern part of Kazakhstan.
Season with salt, cumin, MSG, and ground coriander. Now add beef fat and mix it up.
You're putting the beef inside of the quail. Why use beef with meat? You've already got meat.
Пустая.
So he just explained that it was empty inside. There is a space, so we should put something inside.
Anytime there's a cavity, a cave, a hollow structure,
Put meat.
put meat.
The quails, now fully filled with beef, are boiled with bay leaves and salt for 30 minutes. Finally, they're deep fried until golden brown.
If there's space, put meat. It's not just a method of cooking, it's a philosophy on life. I appreciate it. I think I know all I need to know, and actually, I don't want to know anymore. Here, my man, no stomach in sight.
What, this time you're wrapping something around, man?
Well, we've wrapped a quail around some beef. In a moment, we're going to be trying this very unique fried quail dish. But first,
This is jelly meat made of beef.
This protein-packed jello starts off as a soup where beef is simmered with cow skin. After hours, the skin releases gelatin, which solidifies the soup into what you're looking at right now.
so to me, essentially, this is cold soup.
It's a hard soup. You have to put mustard.
Really?
Absolutely.
Listen, I just want to raw dog it. I just want to go straight. Cheers. No, it's not cold soup. It's really gelatinized. It has a smoky taste to it. It tastes very rich, Smell that.
Oh my God, it has a very specific odor.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, sure. But I put the mustard.
Do you think the mustard helps?
I think so.
You have to overcome that taste.
Not much. Oh.
I'm gonna be okay. Trust me. Oh, that's like wasabi.
You okay?
I'm gonna burn my cerebellum. Right here we have the quail, the main event. It's certainly a unique recipe. They've stuffed beef inside of this quail with consent.
It looks and smells absolutely incredible, man.
Ho, ho, ho. The legs just kind of pop right off. Oh, that's good.
It's fantastic, bro.
Juicy and delicious.
And you can tell it's like a fresh quail. Probably in the morning it was flying, thinking about how it's gonna migrate to another like warmer country, and boom.
Boom, it's right here. It definitely warmed up though. So there's breast meat here, but then on the inside is the beef. I think we go for the breast first.
Wow.
Simple, juicy, stunning.
Well, you want to compare it to a chicken, but it's like way better chicken.
And everything's bite-sized, which is fun. It makes me feel like a giant. Perfectly shaped to the contours of the quail. This big old beef meatball. This is the best thing we've tried today. Oh, this is excellent. Juicy, succulent, the sweet taste of onion, the subtle seasoning of salt and also pepper. That's nice.
Absolutely nailed it, man. It's really delicious.
It's gonna be tough to outdo this.
At our next spot, we'll see if the highly anticipated horse heart will do the trick. But before we leave, I want to learn what makes Kazakhstan the biggest tourist attraction here in Central Asia.
Camille, you work with the tourism board of Almaty. And most of the tourism in Kazakhstan, where do you think it's coming from?
Number one is Russian, then Chinese, then Turkey, India, and on the fifth place is the USA. So yeah, Americans started to be very interested in Almaty in Kazakhstan.
Why do you think that is?
Big mix of nationalities, mix of religions, cheap and very tasty food.
Meat jello.
Yeah, meat jello. So nightlife, shopping, Soviet legacy, our hospitality, our very vivid culture mixed with nomad style of life that was in past.
What do you have that Uzbekistan lacks? Don't worry about him. He's fine.
Next, we're meeting up with the chef who's cooking up bizarre, ancient recipes of Kazakhstan,
Trees, bro.
including stuffed horse heart. But first, she has another delightfully strange offering.
Ladies, thank you for being here today. I'm very excited. We're going to be trying out some very epic recipes here from Kazakhstan.
Meet Sania, a viral TikToker on a mission to preserve and showcase Kazakh culinary traditions. And this is Sania's creator, Aliya. Right now, she's preparing a special dish where lamb brisket is wrapped inside these sheep intestines. But first, they must be braided.
So she takes the already cleaned sheep intestines, she kind of wraps it around her fingers.
Usually people give her comments, do you make clothes from this?
I know, this could be Lady Gaga's next outfit to the next award show. So already you've created this braided section just made out of intestines. That's wild.
Oh, they are participating in World Guinness Book for making the longest intestine roll, 100 meter. Yeah.
Wow, but probably no competition. I don't think there's a lot of people trying to break that record.
Yeah.
It is like knitted intestinal socks. We're moving now on to the next step, and I cannot wait to try this out.
Trim up the lamb brisket, then season with a generous amount of salt and pepper. Crush garlic and thoroughly massage it into the meat. Cover the brisket with green onions, then roll it up like a giant savory cigar. Now gently coax those meaty braids around the lamb brisket. Traditionally, this dish is gifted by parents to son-in-laws as an affectionate tribute.
Brisket is for son-in-law because he's a symbol of protection.
I'm kind of seen as the protector in my household. Nobody can call 911 faster than me.
After 2 hours of boiling, Sania artfully plates up the intestine-wrapped, green onion stuffed lamb. As a final touch, she paints it with gold.
So in spite of this very ancient recipe, she always makes some modern, trendy presentation.
Sania, you have absolutely outdone yourself here. This looks amazing. These were some of the most unique looking foods I'd ever seen, not just for Central Asia, but really anywhere. Can you guess what this is?
Some weird alien creature that was caught in the mountains, no?
It looks like it could be a reptile. I'm destroying your beautiful artwork here. It's like cutting an umbilical cord. When I stare at it here, you can see that beautiful braided structure on the outside, and then inside, the different layers of the brisket. She painted part of it gold.
I hope it's 18K. If it's 14, I wouldn't eat it. Wow.
That's good.
super rich.
Juicy. It has an incredible mutton flavor. I love the texture of the intestines. The braided intestine part has become tight, a little bit chewy. It's got a strong, bold, kind of sheepy taste to it, which I enjoy. This is such a cool, unique dish.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So that's our first dish, but we're building up to this right here. In front of us, we have not just one, but 3 horse hearts.
How many horses should die for your videos, bro?
First, trim and hollow out the horse heart, kind of like what your ex did to you when you were 19. Next, cut up kazi, a traditional horse sausage found in Kazakhstan and other Central Asian countries. Stuff it inside until the heart is nearly bursting with sausage joy.
It should be like smoked meat that was marinated before for a long, long time.
So the sausage has a ton of flavor. That's going to give more flavor to the whole heart itself.
This dish is traditionally gifted from parents to their daughters after she marries and leaves home.
Her family, firstly father, sent this dish as a symbol that she is still in their hearts.
I like it. It's a bit on the nose.
After 3 hours of boiling, the giant stuffed horse hearts are ready to be plated and hit the dining table.
For me, I was amazed to just go to a market where horse hearts are so readily available. It's something I've not seen before anywhere else in the world, but God bless Kazakhstan. From there, all the way here, this dramatic transformation, we're about to try it now.
She recommends to start from the center.
Oh, just cut it in half?
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, this is a big boy. Oh, there's stitches in this thing.
I bet this horse was a snitch.
I want to make sure we got it all the way through. I'm going to show this cross section.
Ooh,
Take a look at that right there.
what is that, brother?
That is a thick horse heart, just absolutely stuffed with this sausage.
Wholeheartedly.
Nice. Oh, I've got the perfect bite right here.
It was extremely good.
It's amazing.
So the heart itself is very thick, very dense, and it's slightly dry. Then you got that fatty sausage on the inside, and it balances out. Does she agree with my assessment?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
И какое блюдо вам больше понравилось?
Oh, it's a tough choice.
I'm gonna go with the heart.
Yeah, I like both, but I think I like the heart more.
This time I'm gonna try just the heart.
Cheers, me too.
You can feel that it's really rich for iron. You remember when you like in school you get beat up by big kids and you can feel the
You taste it.
blood?
Yeah, I've also just drank blood. It's a wild dish, but I gotta say, when I saw the ingredients, I thought, why stuff it? But no, they need each other. The two components really work together to make something unique and quite delicious.
I don't think that, you know, potato or like carrot would do the trick.
No.
You would need another flavor, something greasy to kind of blend it in. So yeah, it's a perfect combination. Great job.
So far, we've enjoyed horse sausage and even stuffed horse heart. But how did eating horse start here? And why is it that Kazakhstan is the second highest consumer of horse meat in the world?
That is a monster sausage, my man.
To find out more, we're spending the day at this horse farm. And here, the day begins with a traditional Kazakh breakfast, prepared by Aliya, the mother of the house. She starts by feeding her stove some wood and fire, topping it with a kazan and loading it with oil. Then she proceeds to knead the dough, a combination of milk, oil, flour, yeast, salt, and sugar. Aliya flattens the dough with a rolling pin and cuts it into small squares. All that's left is to drop them in and see them puff up into golden brown pillows known as borsaki. While waiting for breakfast, Bekruz and I get acquainted with the farm.
Bekruz, what are your thoughts on horses?
I love them, man. Riding, eating, whatever.
When I watched TV back in the day, it was always they were arriving at a farm or at some event, and the timing just happened to be perfect. Oh, we're arriving today at a farm as they happen to be slaughtering a horse. Can I tell you something? We have such a coincidence today. Coincidentally, we are arriving here today at this farm, and also today, they're slaughtering a horse.
Kazakhstan's meat horses, though they receive less pampering than the riding horses, they are no common cattle in the hearts of the local people. 6,000 years of building their culture on the power and nutrients provided by horses have taught Kazakhs to respect every horse that gives its life to fill their bellies.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ağday ondaсын, berek ornaсын, iş жамандық болмасын. Мына сойып атқан малдарын бұйыртып жегіп, жұмыстарын ілгері бассын. Bismillah.
Man, you know what? I never seen this situation going on. For me, I tried to avoid it.
So it does bother you a little bit.
I got mixed feelings about it. In the end of the day,
They are majestic creatures.
yeah.
That said, I know in Uzbekistan, where you're from, there is a fair consumption of horse meat. How come the horse meat here is always in the form of a sausage and not like a steak?
That's a good question. I have to think about it.
But it's just on a completely different level here. It's just like, you know, when you get tacos and they're like, do you want chicken or beef? Here, do you want horse or beef?
Yeah.
In a small home farm like this, slaughtering may only happen once a year, producing 500 to 600 pounds of meat.
Is there any reason why it would be less common in Uzbekistan or more common here?
It's lean, it's high in protein, and it's treasured by locals, meaning the price for horse meat is much higher than beef.
It's such a centric piece around nomadic culture, and in Kazakhstan, it's more prevails. Whereas in Uzbekistan, like people are living settled life for a very long time, and those nomadic tribes that we have, they're just so abysmal, they're so small. Here, it's more like in a bigger magnitude.
So later today, we're going to be building up to an epic horse meal. Oh my gosh. About to dig into some horse colon. But first, breakfast. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Good one.
Joining us for breakfast, Janur, the young master of this farm. Beside him, Jar, a wise historian and political scientist.
I'm very excited to be here. I feel like you're not eating this type of breakfast every single day.
Yes.
You eat like this every morning?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
It's summertime. Families gather together. Any meals are crowded, so it's possible.
It's possible.
Plausible.
Plausible. It is plausible.
In front of us lay fruits, nuts, pastry products, mutton, multiple types of cream and cheese, and, of course, the borsaki.
It's delicious. It's like a beignet.
What's beignet?
It's like a French fried dough, but they put powdered sugar on top.
Oh, okay.
Super delicious. Fried bread is pretty common in Kazakhstan, right?
Yes, traditionally this is something which wouldn't spoil for even a month, a year, so you can carry with you while raising horses.
The meat here, could I just break it off with my hand? What's the polite way to do it?
We need a knife for that.
Oh, what the heck? You got a huge piece.
Maybe he likes him more.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Love.
Jackpot. I'm gonna try it out. Room temperature lamb, sheep.
Really
good.
nice. Yeah, I like it.
It tastes like it was just boiled with a little bit of salt, if I had to guess. So it just has that nice congealed room temperature texture to it. Well, it tastes good.
The bread and mutton are tasty, but I'm here for the horse, and soon we'll be eating a whole meal cooked inside a horse's stomach. Aliya must wash the horse's stomach thoroughly with plenty of water and lime to minimize the gaminess before bringing it to the cooking area.
This thing is... I shouldn't have touched it. This thing is absolutely massive. And soon this will become a cooking vessel. Cannot wait to see what this looks like when it's cleaned up and stuffed full of food. A lot of the food in Kazakhstan is rooted in nomadic culture, nomadic eating, and the nomadic lifestyle. Long ago, they would have used all kinds of animal organs, especially the stomach, for cooking. You may have seen this before with sheep, but today we're gonna be seeing it with a horse stomach. This is an absolute first for me.
While Aliya works, her son reveals a distinct tradition of Kazakhstan.
This is our farm. We have horse, sheep, and cows here. Traditionally in Kazakhstan, the youngest son inherits the farm, the house, so he's the main heir of the family. That's how it goes. And you have to live with your parents if you're the youngest son. While older sons, they could live on their own. So with the inheritance...
There's a catch.
Yes.
You're not just throwing parties and raves. You're taking care of mom and dad.
If I can elaborate on this, youngest kid will live least with their parents. This is kind of comforting then. At least he's gonna take care of them, and plus he might be young where they're gone, so he has at least a base so he can build up on his future.
Are you looking forward to one day taking over this property?
Yeah, he's ready.
But here's the thing. Are you worried your mom might have another kid? It's a reasonable question. It could happen, Bekruz.
I'd be happy, yeah, if that happens.
I think it's very healthy.
I hope the old kings would have the same philosophy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Horse meat, potatoes, bell peppers, and carrots. All are rubbed thoroughly with the salt, pepper, and garlic mix, then set aside to absorb those flavors. These are the main ingredients for today's finale, but we need more.
Bekruz, later today, we need horse milk. It's a key ingredient to one of our dishes that we're going to be consuming later on. The only problem is we need someone to milk a horse.
Okay, I know what is going.
He would do it, but early this morning, he sprained his wrist.
I don't think it's a coincidence, bro.
We need someone to milk a horse, and I say, why not you?
I knew that you're gonna bring me down here and make me do some weird stuff. But the only way I'm doing it, I have to do it with you.
Like tandem horse milking?
No, not tandem. We'll take turns.
So from here, we're gonna head out to the pasture. There's one horse with its daughter that's waiting for us. There's the horse.
There is a horse.
It's important when milking a horse, first of all, check the gender.
Obviously, yeah.
It looks like a female. Bekruz.
I heard that if there is a fly, if it beats and it's gonna just, you know.
Oh, like a horse fly.
Yeah, there is a horse fly, definitely.
What do you want? You want a helmet and some oven mitts?
I want to abort the mission. That's it too. I hope I'm not gonna get a horse kick on my face.
Do you want me to go first?
Go first, yeah.
That backfired. I thought he'd feel some kind of shame.
No shame. You can do it. Your muscles, you work out. Go for it.
Okay, I've been told to not announce everything that I'm doing in a loud, articulate voice.
Otherwise, it's gonna know and takes a pre-actions.
You get on your knees. Shh. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, boy.
Look, he's covering its eye. Its milk bag is really deep in there. Trying to get up on the nipple. Horses only have 2 nipples, if you guys didn't know. And you gotta just kind of cinch it at the top. That's like a valve. You open the valve and then you squeeze with the other fingers and it should squirt into the bucket.
Twist it, man.
All right, I got a little squirt. It's creamy. That's how it's done.
Oh my God.
Give it a shot.
Okay.
All right, let's see. All right, the cruise is going in. Yeah, cinch the top.
I am cinching. See?
The horse can tell it's a different set of hands. My hands are very soft.
Oh, I'm getting something.
Now, if you look at Bekruz's posture, it's like he's ready to recoil at any moment.
Okay.
You got a little something?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Victory!
I did it!
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, we got something.
There we go. We got something.
We got
That's something. You made it seem like you didn't want to do it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, you didn't want to?
With every inch of my body, I didn't want it to do it. But I think we did a tremendous job. Crazy handshake.
Yeah.
This fresh horse milk will be a tasty beverage at our final meal. Meanwhile, the main course is just one step away from being finished.
The final steps for our stuffed stomach is about to begin. Right here, the horse stomach, looking big, slimy. Ugh. Brother, So the first thing she does is she actually turns the stomach inside out. We want that rough, textury part on the inside and the smooth, slimy part on the outside. Now she takes the meat and just like helping a cow give birth, she just kind of shoves it deep inside the stomach. This meat is a special cut. This is coming from the back legs of the horse. Big, super lean chunks of horse meat. But if you take a look at this right here is a special cut that's cut from the spine and some meat below. This is meant for the guest.
This unusual cut of meat, though impressive, is not even close to the most bizarre ingredient going into this horse's stomach. I'll reveal that mysterious component soon.
From here, she's gonna finish stuffing it with this meat. Then she's gonna sew it up like a World War II nurse and throw it in the kazan. To cook, it only takes a scant 3 hours, and then we're gonna be chowing down on this for our final meal. And I cannot wait.
Before diving headfirst into the epic main course cooked inside the horse's stomach, Bekruz and I test the water with a horse meat appetizer inside our countryside dining room, also known as the hay barn.
We have a very boisterous sheep behind you.
Yeah, now we are communicating.
Well, we have a similar IQ. Let's talk about this in front of us right now.
This is called KUYRDAK. It's a generic meal. It exists not only among the Kazakhs, but also among Kyrgyz and many other countries in the region.
Our KUYRDAK is prepared by Janur's sister, Arujan. First, she cubes the horse meat into smaller pieces.
KUYRDAK means fried meat. It could be of different kinds. Some could include certain organs. Usually with horses, not so common to eat lungs and livers and so on, along with the meat, because the meat is very delicious and precious itself.
Arujan tosses the horse meat into a kazan glistering with hot oil. She sprinkles salt and pepper onto the meat, stirs it well, and closes the lid to let it cook.
It's that feeling that makes you want it.
In the meantime, she makes work of the vegetables.
We have issues with carrots. Carrots in some meal are not acceptable, but potatoes somehow sneaked in the Kazakh cuisine very aggressively, although obviously it's a relatively new thing.
Hello, sneaky bastard.
I know, right?
Onion and potato leap into the kazan. When every component has reached the desired tenderness, our cook scoops them out and garnishes them with chopped scallion and dill.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, please, yeah.
That's really good. Wow. Considering it's a very lean meat, it is not tough. I think they've stewed it for a long time, so it's really softened up the meat. Most people would probably confuse it for beef.
Yeah,
sometimes beef can even be a bit gamey, but horse has such a clean flavor. Can you notice a distinct difference when you're eating beef versus horse?
Horse meat is usually darker when cooked. It's more muscle, less fat. Horses are very selective in terms of what they eat. Because of that, it's also believed that the meat is healthier. Plus, horses are a very athletic animal. They don't stay in one place. It's a healthier body compared to the cows and bulls, which would basically stay in one place, eat grass.
Yeah, I've never seen an animal that can get so fat from grass. That's impressive. Next door in Uzbekistan, have you ever had a dish like this?
No, for us, horse meat comes in one form of that sausage, so we put it on other dishes. But as a separate dish, we do not use it in a daily cuisine. So for me as well, this is really exotic. Maybe I'm hungry or not. I can definitely see the quality of the meat, and I'm lost for words. I love it.
Our country has such a limited view when it comes to what's okay to eat and what's not okay to eat. Basically, it's like chicken, pig, cow, and then seafood, who cares? What do you think about just this stark difference between two different cultures?
That's the perspective of the settled Western. The lifestyle there did not require a horse. Horse was a sign of very high status, was very expensive, while here the life is different.
The people of Kazakhstan have a deep connection with their horses that goes back to nomadic times. These beasts of burden were their source of power, materials, and fuel in the form of milk and meat. These days, Kazakhstan has around 118 horse farms that manage over 3 million horses in total.
Nomadic cultures, they don't like pork, they don't like pig, they cannot move with you.
Right.
So it's logical to eat horse. It's very mobile animal. It can move from one place to another very fast. So this was the best way to adapt to the environment. If we would never have a morality of not eating horse, then we wouldn't survive.
13 pounds is the average amount of horse meat consumed by one Kazakhstani each year. This, combined with the horse meat that's exported to Japan, Russia, and Uzbekistan, pushes the production of horse meat in Kazakhstan to over 170,000 tons annually. Believe me when I say, they're not horsing around.
Can I tell you, this is one of the most beautifully strange, wonderful things I've ever seen in my life. This meal shouldn't be possible to create, but yet here it is right in front of me. I am in awe of your ability.
Thank you.
So humble. In just a moment, we're going to slice this open and reveal what's inside. But first, horse milk. This is the horse milk that both myself and Bekruz squeezed out of one of the horses on this property. Bottoms up. Wow, it's sweeter than I expected.
Yeah, it's like someone put 2 spoons of sugar in it.
It's not bad.
You can add it into your coffee.
Horse cappuccino.
Yeah. Before we slice into it, I want to say this reminds me a lot of something that I tried in Mongolia, something called borek. And that was when they took a whole sheep and they basically cooked its meat inside its own body. Have you ever cooked this before?
Around the New Year. A friend of mine had a birthday and she asked to cook something special for her birthday. That was the last time she cooked.
Did you put a birthday candle in the middle?
No. She didn't.
Bekruz, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's do it. Oh, wow. She penetrates it. Immediately, it explodes with horse broth. Oh, my gosh. This is like from another planet. As she's beginning to separate it and split it open, and you can see the potatoes, the vegetables, and these giant chunks of horse meat on the inside. This is a masterpiece. So, guys, we got big old hunks of horse. Please. It's got some bite to it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a piece of Wagyu, but it's got great flavor. And I still like the texture too. It's very good. Not to mention, these potatoes are perfectly soft and they've soaked up all that horsey flavor. And generally, the stomach can impart a lot of gamey flavor. Bekruz, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't feel it, huh?
I don't feel it.
I've never had that before, so it's new for me too. Today is my lucky day as well.
Hey, a little bit of history right here for you.
This is called karta. It's the lower part of the intestine.
Colon, huh?
Yeah.
High level of colonoscopy going on right now. Oh my god.
Ooh, it's got some smell to it.
I'm gonna get the smallest bite ever.
As far as colons go, that's up there.
It's delicious, actually.
Very chewy, something between the texture of a boiled squid and maybe a stomach. Slightly gelatinous, but chewy at the same time. And it tastes like the salty horse broth, a bold flavor, almost smoky, and it's still in my mouth.
This is, an interesting spectrum of it.
From here, there is another base layer. I would call it the foundation of this meal.
Now this is the secret I've been keeping. A horse sausage, locally known as kazi. And the making of it is like no sausage making you've ever seen before. After thoroughly washing the intestines that will become the sausage casing, Aliya uses the horse's own trachea as a rigid tool to funnel in some abnormally large meat chunks.
It all starts right here with the horse rib meat. This has already been seasoned with salt, pepper, and minced garlic. And then she just uses her thumb to skillfully shove the meat inside without breaking the intestinal casing. One thing I want you guys to really experience is the sound of this meat being shoved into the intestine. That's not sound effects, I swear. All right, she's almost done. The sausage is almost complete. And there it is. So now she's gonna close this one end by shoving a toothpick through it. Then she's gonna cut the other side and seal that too.
The horse sausage cooks inside the horse's stomach together with the horse meat and the vegetables. Now for this meal's crucial carbohydrate component, conceived from salt, flour, egg, and water. Aliya kneads the dough and rolls it out thinly before cutting it into palm-sized squares. The small squares splash into the boiling stomach broth as dough and come out as Kazakhstan's signature kispeh. Though I'd call it a horse stomach hot pocket, this protein mixed with these noodles is actually the equestrian version of this country's national dish, BESHBARMAK.
That is a monster sausage, my man. Either that or this horse had one hell of a tapeworm.
I think horses don't have tapeworm.
Okay, you know what? Your facts are getting in the way of my bad jokes. The sausage looks fantastic to me. It's basically rib meat and intestinal casing. So I'm gonna grab some of these noodles to eat and combine with the sausage. Now the noodles are already soaked in that broth, essentially a horse stock.
Noodles are great, bro.
That's really good. Oh my lord, it is so rich, heavy, but rich in almost like a buttery way. Then you have the dill, which adds a little bit of freshness to it.
I know that the homemade food is always good, but here you can actually see it. It's like quintessential homemade.
You can also try the stomach.
Oh, on this trip, I ate stomach with Bekruz on the first day, and he was a big fan.
You don't like it?
I like it.
Yeah, you don't like it. I ate stomach with Bekruz on the second day. Huge fan.
It's the same thing as MANTI.
But instead of dough, they're using
sheep stomach.
Oh my god.
I think your appreciation is probably swollen to new heights at this point.
Of course.
But I got a monster piece of horse stomach right here. Cheers, gentlemen. Wow. You have to admit,
it's great. It's interesting.
It's such a clean taste.
Even though I tried different versions of stomach of different animals, wow. My first time trying horse, definitely it's a unique experience.
It's still an odd texture, but the flavor, it's not gamey, it's not
repellent.
Yeah, you know, we had some challenging experiences in the last couple of days, and I was profiling. And this stomach, I did the same thing. It felt slimy on my hands, and I thought, this is gonna be brutal. But then trying it now, with an open mind, it's excellent. It tastes like it's been cleaned very well, and cooked even better. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, hands down.
Beyond horse, there is one other giant beast that was used during nomadic times for transportation, for milk, and for food. I'm talking about the camel. Next, Bekruz and I will learn how the ancient tradition of camel consumption has become a modern-day million-dollar business.
It seems that the hump is just made out of fat, right?
Erkeklerin potensiyasını kotarıyor.
Oh, you're gonna like it. It helps to boost manpower.
We can all use some of that, am I right?
But before that, Bekruz and I are being treated to a camel canapé.
Bekruz?
Hi, man.
SANDYQ is the only restaurant in Almaty that specializes in camel meat, serving everything from camel hump to camel burgers and even camel milk ice cream. But today, we're here for some MANTI.
This is basically camel dumplings right here that we're looking at. But first, let's head to the kitchen to see how they make it.
The dish starts with the wrapper, made with flour, eggs, and salted water. Mix and knead the dough until it's ready for the next step.
You said you've tried camel before, but maybe one time. When have you ever tried camel?
Way before. I was in Uzbekistan.
Oh, so you guys do have it there?
Yeah, we have them. It's not a part of the cuisine for sure.
Listen, by the end of today...
Probably I'm gonna have my own hump.
Yeah. Nice.
The filling is a flavorful mix of chopped onions and minced camel meat, with a touch of camel fat for richness. It's seasoned simply with salt and black pepper.
Now, something special about these is they use the camel meat from the back legs. Big quad.
Oh, now I understand why you picked this spot. So we can make like anatomical references. Like, oh.
100 IQ.
The filling is wrapped in dough and shaped into dumplings, then boiled in a rich camel meat broth.
Voiceover complete. And we're back. A little bit of a camel stock right here. It's a lot hotter than I expected. That's good.
It's like a chicken soup for your soul. This soup wants me invade somewhere. You know?
Okay, so that's just the broth. But right here, we have the actual dumpling.
Wow.
It's like the perfect size. I love it.
This is so good, man.
A delicious wrapper on the outside, and then just a miniature explosion of camel meat and fat.
It doesn't have that kind of distinct taste of flavor to
Right.
it.
If you had to compare it to any other animal, what would you compare it to? Let the record show that you've never had pork.
Beef?
Could be.
What do you think? Haram incoming.
A little porky.
Oh my God.
The camel meat served in this restaurant comes from the only industrial camel farm in the entire country. And that's exactly where we're headed to next.
Here you have a gigantic camel farm. What I hear is the biggest in Kazakhstan. Is this true?
Yeah.
This is SANDYQ. He started his camel business in the 90s, saving money for 2 years before he could buy his first camel.
This is the biggest farm in the country, and he has 5,000 heads.
5,000?
Yeah.
Now he owns 20 camel farms in this region, making him the second largest camel farmer in the world, right behind some guy in Dubai.
Around 1,500 new babies being born in a year.
Oh, wow.
Today, I'm on a mission to discover how one man single-handedly controls the camel products of an entire country, and to get a true taste of this remarkable animal beyond just dumplings. And it all starts right here.
How old are these guys surrounding us right now?
They're 3 months old.
Can I hug this one?
Yeah, you can do.
I'll just be very coy about it. You know, it looks like I want to capture it, but I just want to give it a hug. Okay, I'll try later. Reminds me of dating in high school.
He likes it, Joe.
Don't laugh at me. Moving on.
They live a good life, grazing freely across over 120 acres of land owned by SANDYQ. Once the females reach the age of 5, they're ready to give birth and start producing milk.
He came up with a new way of dehydrating milk and creating milk powder. And apparently China is the biggest customer.
China's like the biggest customer for everything.
Everything.
Except for democracy.
However, the fate of male camels differs slightly, as most are sent to the slaughterhouse when they turn 3.
I'm very excited because later today we're going to build up to the actual slaughtering of the camel, and you and I will try an epic camel feast. But first I want to learn more about the milking process, because I've heard that camel milk actually contains a lot of health benefits. Backed up by Google.
Man, it sounds like Jurassic Park.
It's just a non-stop bellowing of hundreds of camels. They have such a low, guttural, intense voice. When they overlap, it sounds like I'm on a different planet right now.
In order for milking to be successful, the camels must be accompanied by their offspring. If not, the mothers will stubbornly refuse to release their milk.
Right now, I'm about to audition for an exciting career as a camel milker. Aha, here's what I've learned. This is probably not the son or daughter of this guy right here. This one wants to give milk, this one wants to take milk. They work it out. So I have literally never used this before, but I'm gonna figure it out right now. Ah, sorry, baby.
This daily routine goes on for about 18 months from the time they give birth.
Oh, there we go. Are they on comfortably?
He says for 20 years we were manual, and it's a lot of labor. So I went to Germany, got that know-how from there and brought it. Because the milking style differs from the cow, that's what he says.
Oh.
In cow, you pull it.
Yeah.
But here, you just squeeze it.
How do the babies get enough milk to be healthy and to grow if you're taking the milk?
Camels are very smart. They will not let you to dry them up. They will give you some milk, and they withhold for the babies later on. So once they release, they again united with their babies, and babies can continue.
So from here, the most important thing after collecting the milk is to try the milk.
Once the milk is slurped up by the machines, it goes through a filtration system removing unwanted particles. Then it's held in these containers in the refrigeration room, chilling out before the milk is eventually pasteurized.
For folks who don't know at home, when they're drinking cow milk, usually it's been pasteurized, meaning it's been heated up to kill any bacteria. So this should be quite a unique raw camel milk experience we're about to have.
He says this is the best way to drink it, straight from the source. He says it's a little salty, it's a mineralness, which is not common in other animals. Man.
Super creamy.
And sweet.
A bit warm, which should be obvious. It just came out of a warm animal's body, I guess.
Probably this is the freshest milk I drank in a while.
Well, since you're maybe 6 months old. What's really amazing is that this milk then can become cream, butter, various types of cheeses. So this, he's saying, is one of his favorites. It's a type of cheese. It has a cheesiness to it, slightly sour. It's very thick and condensed. It almost tastes a little bready too. That's a unique flavor profile.
It's a really nice combination if you drink with a strong tea or coffee.
Or wine.
I don't know.
Right now, the freely roaming camels are heading back to the farm. In a moment, one of these bowls will end up on our dining table, including the camel's mysterious protruding hump.
Soon we're going to be experiencing some of the camel meat here, but first I have some questions about the health benefits of this milk.
It has some antibacterial function, but as he thinks, it increases your immunity to max level. And he says if your immunity is high enough, your body can fight any diseases.
Now, I've heard of milk being prescribed for certain health benefits, but I've also heard of camel urine being prescribed.
Yeah, definitely urine is used for medicinal purposes.
People drink it?
Yeah, they drink it. He says it used to be in old times, the people who couldn't find a treatment through traditional like pills and stuff. So desperate people come and this is their last resort. But I think, imagine, doctor says, bro, you got 2 months life left.
Right.
And you just heard that,
Try
you just
anything.
go there.
Have you ever tried it?
Yeah. He says, I don't sell it, promote it. People come and ask for that, and how I can say no to those people.
How nearby is this urine?
So it's not this place, it's a different place.
Good. I think that's for the best.
Aside from selling gallons and gallons of camel milk, SANDYQ also specializes in camel meat. Meat that comes from 3-year-old male camels like this.
This is the prime age for slaughtering. This farm is producing over 120 tons of camel meat each year, including this guy. As unusual as camels and camel meat might seem, this is still a meat that is considered halal, meaning it is permissible to eat for Muslim folks. But a few steps must be adhered to during the slaughtering process. First of all, the person slaughtering, actually slitting the throat, must be Muslim. And he says a little prayer before slitting the throat. From there, it bleeds out and all the blood must be discarded and not consumed at all. Butchering is about to begin, but I wanted to show you this right here. The bigger, the more voluptuous the hump, the healthier the camel. In a moment, they're actually gonna cut this out, remove the hump, and this is gonna be used for a special dish we'll be trying later today. Can I say that I'm excited? No.
Camel can go 20, 28 days without drinking water. He's using this as an energy source. So, of course, it's highly nutritious, so people tend to use it. And he says this is a power bank of a camel.
Yeah, right. It seems that the hump is just made out of fat, right?
You can draw a comparison to it, but it says it's more tough when you chew it, it's more bitey. Texture-wise, it's closer to meat.
While the men continue butchering the camel, an appetizer is underway. The camel hump is first boiled, then seasoned simply with salt and pepper, before finally sizzling away on a mini grilling station.
Oh, you're gonna like it. So, it helps to boost manpower.
We can all use some of that, am I right? I was excited. Now I'm a little bit scared of the potential consequences of eating this in the middle of a desert where it's just a bunch of dudes working with camels. Cheers, my man.
Hakuna Matata. Bro.
Melt in your mouth.
I'm trying to find words to describe it.
It's so rich.
Freaking rich, man.
It's almost like eating straight butter. I think you could just spread it over bread or something. But the flavor's good.
It's amazing. I'm trying to find things that will repel me because camel is quite odorous animal.
Odorous, I like it.
Yeah. But doesn't translate to its fat and food. Maybe it's a way of cooking, but I think it tastes like foie gras.
The foie gras of the camel. As far as I understand, you are the only one in Almaty with a camel store/restaurant where people can pick up these products, right?
Yeah.
You literally have a camel monopoly, a camelopoly. Is this expensive?
It's not that expensive. Let's say 1 kilo of beef is 2,800. This is 3,000.
What part of the camel is the most expensive?
So it's a pure like meat part, like filet.
When someone says steak, most of us picture a juicy cut of beef. But here, they're doing steaks the Kazakh way, carving out juicy portions of camel protein, seasoned with salt and pepper, then grilled to perfection.
So far, we've had the camel with a lot of other ingredients, and it's been hard to really figure out the actual taste, but I wanted to have a chance to taste the meat directly to see truly what the camel tastes like. That will be happening soon as these cook to a beautiful medium rare.
Let's try it.
Let's do it. It's been quite a day, and after an exhausting day on the camel farm, I like to drink some camel alcohol.
It's not a camel.
Okay, well, what is it?
It's a Shabat.
Shabat, but it's fermented camel milk.
Just the 1%.
1%. I just feel the stress melting away.
Tastes like yogurt?
Yeah, basically a liquid yogurt, a touch sour. Should we go for it? Please. Oh, okay, there you go. All we have is a butter knife.
Bro, it's enough.
It's plenty. Cheers.
Wow.
Different.
Really interesting.
Yeah, how do you explain that? It's a very clean taste and it's not gamey. If you had to compare camel meat to an animal, what would you compare it to?
Joining the table, Siddiq's son, Akılbek.
The closest reference would be beef.
Yeah, but it's not beef. What about you?
He says it's really hard to describe. I just put it on a different segment.
I would say something like a combination of beef, rabbit, and a little bit the smell of camel hair.
You don't expect this meat to be this good, honestly.
I might like this more than beef, I think. We have one dish remaining that we've not tried.
Shurpa. Basically, you throw everything and you just boil for a very long time.
Our final dish of the day, camel soup. It's made with rib meat and a portion from the back leg.
60% of this meat goes to the south of the country because south of the country consumes camel more frequently.
All simmered in a kazan with a bit of camel fat.
For all the people that you're selling meat to now, before this place existed, where were they getting it?
Then come the onions, carrots, bell peppers, and potatoes.
Before him, this industry was not at that scale. It was just people slaughtering once in a year and meat was distributed in the villages. So it wasn't popular across the country. By them creating this much of production, they were making like more consumer friendly.
Seasoned with salt and pepper. The whole pot is left to cook for hours until the meat breaks down into tender, juicy morsels.
This looks like one of the most delicious things we've had so far on this trip. Like, look at that broth. It looks like a deep collagen. It's full of camel essence, crazy savory.
I think this is like a comfort food.
Oh yeah. So the soup is excellent, but right here, a ridiculous camel rib. Cheers.
Wow.
Super rich, but the taste unbeaten.
He's right. There's no reference point.
It's in a league of its own. I mean, folks need to come either to Kazakhstan, to his restaurant, or just to his farm. Can people just roll up to your farm?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Yesterday he was telling about German tourists. Oh, those sneaky bastards.
Let's hear it.
It's like, I got two groups, all farmers. I think they tried to get the secrets of camel industry and make Germany great again.
Right.
We don't want this, bro.
What do you think was stopping other folks from commercializing the camel industry like you have?
Well, he says it kind of goes back to history. Let's say around 100 years ago, in Kazakhstan, there were around more than 1 million camels. As you know, after Soviet came and USSR was made, private farms were cancelled. It was all collective farms. And at that time, once the cars are there, once transportation developed, there was no need for camel. And he says when Kazakhstan gained independence, there were around only 50,000 left out of 1 million. And he was just among the first because he started right after Soviet Union collapsed. He had a little first mover advantage.
Yeah, right. You have accomplished so much in just over 2 decades. But what's next for either you or this industry in Kazakhstan?
He says, I want to transition to pharmaceutical industry as well. Currently, he has a small clinic. They use camel milk and it's a good supplement to fight the cancer. In 4 years, 15,000 people came to that clinic and got that treatment.
Wow.
And my ultimate goal, he says, because there was no any clinical trial, I want to do this clinical trial and I want to come up with cancer-fighting drugs. And he says, I want to turn it into a legacy business. You see my son, he's already continuing that path.
What are the valuable life lessons that you've learned that other people could apply to their own journeys?
This is not a job. He says he was born in a stable of camel. His mother gave birth in a camel stable.
Wow.
For him, it's nothing. For him, it's easy. But for younger generation, they're coming to this profession. Number one suggestion, don't be afraid. Because if you're afraid of this, then it's not yours. That you're not going to go extra step. And second of all, don't jump from one thing to other thing. Life is precious. You don't have much life. And it says, even I'm 60, 5,000 camels are a lot, but I don't want to stop. I want to keep going because I don't treat it as a job. I treat it as a lifestyle.
So far in our journey, I've become very acquainted with Kazakh food. But there's another, different food you can find in this country made by the hands of the people China is trying to destroy.
If you smoke, your lungs will turn black. If you inhale milk, that's what's happening here.
And since I can't film Uyghur food in China, Kazakhstan is the next best place. It all starts with the breakfast made the Uyghur way.
So this is called dalpanji, which literally translates from Chinese as big plate of chicken.
At a local restaurant serving traditional Uyghur recipes, our chef sets a wok on fire, glazes it with a generous pour of oil, and drops in a handful of sugar and Szechuan peppers. He stirs until the sugar crystallizes, then tosses in chicken, onion, and a combination of spices that create dalpanji's signature flavor: chilies, anise, allspice, cumin, cloves, orange zest, cardamom, and cinnamon. After, tomato paste, chili paste, and garlic follow suit.
Overall, I have enjoyed the food experiences I've had in Kazakhstan. That said, the flavor comes from salt, pepper, garlic, and onion, and then that's it for everything. So it is nice to see kind of a change of pace when it comes to seasonings in this country.
Our chef adds chunks of potato and even more seasonings in the form of MSG, salt, Chinese vinegar, and soy sauce. He fills the wok with water, allowing the ingredients to simmer until they soften.
Kazakhs are kind of connoisseurs of meat that they don't want to have spices on top. They want to taste where that sheep has been grazing. Whereas Uyghurs, because they live side by side with Chinese for so many centuries, have adapted those spicy flavors.
The chef finishes his flavor-packed work of art with bell peppers. Then he plates it with raw onion rings.
So this is this kind of hearty meal that was invented in Western China for truck drivers. How do you feed a big group of hungry men as fast as possible? This is usually not shared between two people.
Yeah, this is for like 8 people right here.
This erudite dude is Dennis, a California native who spent over a decade in Kazakhstan.
When I was in high school, I was 17 years old, and I found an exchange program to Kazakhstan, and I thought, that sounds like fun, let's do it. This is 2005, the year before Borat came out. So when I headed off, people thought I was going to Afghanistan. They didn't even know about Borat Stan.
Sure, right.
With near-perfect Russian and functional Kazakh, Dennis runs a touring company in Almaty. Today, I am his client.
One of my missions today that you're going to help me with is learning more about the Uyghur people here in Kazakhstan. Now, there are a lot of Uyghur folks in China, but it's not so easy to go to those areas, especially with the camera. So the second best option is to come here. And we're starting with this.
So we'll probably put some rice on our plates here first, just to soak up the juices from the dalpanji. And then you want to get some of the hot peppers.
Should we try some of this red sauce with the rice?
That's actually going to add most of the flavor, so we should try to scoop up as much of that as possible.
Yeah. It smells good. All right.
My favorite part is always that kind of tongue-numbing spice from the Szechuan pepper.
You feel that already?
My tongue is starting to fall asleep because of that.
It's warm in my mouth. You can taste the star anise.
The chicken is a little bit harder because here they're so used to eating meat and chicken with bones in it. So you kind of just got to pick up a piece and gnaw around it.
What do you think that is?
A big glob of fatty chicken.
Ass?
There's only one way to find out.
Okay. Not the ass, but that's really nice. Very braised, tender. This is delicious. Chicken is soft and juicy. At least the pieces I have here taste like dark meat. It pairs beautifully with the rice, that nice heavy spice, and potatoes too. A little bit of everything in one meal. And also my first time this trip having chicken.
Yeah, it tends to be pretty focused on the dark meats, the lamb and the camel. Now Uyghurs like that too, because Uyghurs are still a Central Asian people, so a lot of their cuisine has overlap with the Kazakhs. Here we're seeing more of that Sichuan Chinese influence.
Soon we'll visit a local Uyghur home and treat our taste buds to some truly distinct Uyghur dishes, including the slightly bizarre sheep lungs filled with milk.
Who thought to pour milk into a sheep's lungs?
Aside from their food, to understand where the Uyghurs are now, we must understand their history and the struggles they've endured to preserve these traditions. In 2018, Google witnessed a sharp escalation in searches for the word Uyghur. This wave occurred right after the United Nations reported
China is holding over 1 million ethnic Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in what resembles a massive internment camp in the western Xinjiang Autonomous Region.
This is the largest scale of such an act since World War II. Although the name is new to many, the Uyghurs are descendants of Turkic ethnic groups that have dwelled in the Tarim Basin since the Bronze Age. They practice Islam for 1,000 years. These days, there are about 14 million Uyghurs worldwide. 11 million reside in China, while many of the rest can be found in nearby Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan.
From my research, what I've seen is that about 200,000 Uyghur people live in Kazakhstan.
That's the largest Uyghur population outside of China. So we have this huge community here, and most of them can trace their roots back to the 19th century when there were some wars happening in Xinjiang, Western China, and the Russian Empire opened up its gates for Uyghurs to come to settle here.
In the 18th century, the Qing dynasty conquered the region known as Xinjiang. This included the Tarim Basin. The Uyghurs were part of a revolt against the Qing government that was soon suppressed with scorched earth tactics and mass executions, leading to a wave of Uyghur migration into Kazakhstan and nearby countries. But this is not all. That led to over 1 million Uyghurs being placed in detention camps. To learn more, we visit Korlan.
Nice to meet you. Again, we shook hands off camera. Dennis, nice to meet you again.
Sunny, right?
We ate together earlier.
Korlan was a vigorous Uyghur activist in his younger years. These days, he tells the story of his people through food and catering.
We get special orders to deliver to weddings, deliver to people at home. He's been working away at this for 30 years, him and his partner Gulya. They started at the bazaar, just a small little operation, and through word of mouth, it's grown, and now this is a full-time business.
Right here, you have MANTI.
MANTI is easily one of the most common street foods in Kazakhstan. Minced beef or lamb, seasoned with black pepper, cumin, and salt, encased in a flour dough and steamed until soft.
Is there such thing as a Uyghur version of MANTI?
What we have here, he says, is the classic MANTI with just the beef and the onions, but the real Uyghur take is adding the pumpkin.
What about this right here, this condiment?
Ooh.
Hey, that is the international language.
Chili bean paste is a beloved condiment on Uyghur dining tables.
Let me just pile this condiment inside.
If your taste buds survive the initial heat blast, you might pick up on notes of garlic, pepper, chilies, sesame, cumin, and vinegar.
Be careful, that's a lot.
My middle name is too much. The heat was nothing at first, and it's a warm glow. It keeps going. I think I'm gonna sneeze.
Just don't sneeze on the MANTI. These are precious.
Okay, it's not too bad, but it's a nice glowing heat, and I gotta say, most of the Kazakh food I've had, zero spiciness, so it's good to switch it up here. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more, toss it back.
Bon appetit.
Thank you. I have an international flight tonight. I believe I will regret that.
Korlan often sells his MANTI at a nearby bazaar, but today he's decided to shake up the menu with an exclusive Uyghur dish.
It's kind of like a Uyghur calzone.
Ooh, calzone. You've got my attention.
His family helps to set the recipe in motion.
I feel like so many people around the world these days, especially in the USA, they've heard that word Uyghur, but they don't really know what to connect to it. They don't know what customs, what foods, what faces are Uyghur. For you, what does it mean to be Uyghur?
The Uyghurs, he says, are a people with a proud history. They go back to the medieval period when there was a Uyghur Khanate. When Genghis Khan was writing his letters, they were using a Uyghur alphabet.
As the largest Turkic Muslim group in China, the Uyghurs stand out for steadfastly preserving their culture and resisting assimilation into Chinese society. This is reflected in the way they speak, the way they dress, and their faith, observing daily prayers, fasting, and taking part in religious festivals.
He says, we're fearless. We'll do anything. We're hardworking. If you look at any kitchen in Almaty, half of the kitchens are run by Uyghurs. We're proud of that. We're proud of our food. We're proud of our arts. There's a Uyghur theater here in Almaty that's the only one in the world. We have that kind of joie de vivre, maybe, that sets us apart from other people in Central Asia.
Uyghurs are traditionally celebrated for their craftsmanship and trading skills, especially in the ancient time of the Silk Road. But as they drift across the globe, they pick up any work that can sustain their families. Korlan's culinary expertise was passed down by his parents.
When Korlan was growing up here, this was just a collective farm, a Soviet-style farm where cows were grazing. But starting in the late 80s, 90s, capitalism came to Kazakhstan and the bazaar took over this whole area. And now this is one of the biggest employers in the entire country. It's a universal kind of market where anything can be found. People from around the country come here to buy whatever they need, whether it's sewing needles or furniture. There are more than a dozen different bazaars here. He knows every spot like the back of his hand.
Here, you have something special. Now, I know usually you're out here selling the MANTI, but today you switched up the menu. Can you tell me what we're serving today?
Today we're going to be selling gush naan, which is a kind of meat pie.
So he puts it in the cooler so they stay hot. Oh, wow. Right now it's in the plastic bag and it is still crazy hot. So this is an original Uyghur dish, is that correct?
100% Uyghur dish.
Can you walk me through the recipe of how to make this?
First, they start by making the dough. That's just flour and water, a little bit of oil. They then grind the meat by hand, and then they're gonna be putting in some spices. That's salt, that's pepper, that's their secret ingredient called hajou, which is like Sichuan pepper. And then they have something they call Chinese salt. Could you guess what it is?
Salt.
MSG.
Oh, okay. Come on. I should have known that.
So they put that all in there, mix it together, put it inside the dough, in the deep fryer, steam it a little bit, then it's ready to go.
The structure, it's big, it's heavy. It's got a thicker dough than I thought. I thought it'd be more flaky, but it's pretty robust. It holds together fine.
It's the fine art of goshna. If you only steam it, then it's gonna be like manti. If you were to fry it until the meat were done, then the dough is gonna be all dry and flaky and it's not gonna work out. So this is the fine balance we're striking. Normally they serve it as like a big pie that you can cut like a pizza. This is truly like a calzone and I'm gonna just like talkify it.
Sure, it's like the street food version then. I got a lot of dough on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
You said I'm doing the right way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've been here long enough. I've learned how to do it.
Okay, because then you can go right for the underbelly right here. Though the crust, the outside is very good. It's almost like al dente. It's got some nice doughy bite to it. Now I'm going for the guts.
Now, they're generous with the onions.
That's delicious. The flavor is very similar to that of a manti, but the presentation, the vehicle, the vessel is completely different. Very impressive.
Although his kitchen usually caters to the Kazakh palate, soon Kurban Jan's sister will be whipping up an authentic home-cooked Uyghur meal. A meal complete with what I call animalized tofu.
Before we go on, I want to back up a little bit and just talk about what is Uyghur food. For you, how would you characterize Uyghur food? What separates it from any other type of cuisine?
What's special about Uyghur food is the heart that we put into it. Ingredients are very simple. It's meat, it's dough, it's some vegetables, but the things we can do with that are multiple.
Uyghur cuisine is a melting pot of Central Asian and Chinese influences. You'll find a lot of beef and lamb alongside various types of flatbread, a lot of rice, and hand-pulled noodles. Since it's a Muslim community, Uyghur dishes are halal, meaning no pork.
He says we're Soviet Uyghurs because we grew up in the Soviet Union, and a lot of the spices that we now use, even as something as simple as black pepper, but also like that Sichuan pepper, we never used to use that before. The dishes used to be much simpler, but over time those dishes started to come here from China, from other places, and now the cuisine has started to evolve.
So if you went to China now, do you think you would recognize the Uyghur food as being Uyghur food?
He's been there years ago, and what he noticed is that the level of the food there is actually even higher. And they have dishes that they prepare there that have been lost here in Kazakhstan.
So who does it better?
He said whatever he cooks at home is the best.
Fair. So from here, we are going to be trying a kind of a classic Uyghur food, one of the more iconic Uyghur foods. That is the lakmak. Hey, okay, I gotta say, this looks incredible. First of all, the biggest tea I've ever seen in my life.
In my life, тоже.
So the way they make this is they make a super concentrated black tea, add some salt, and then they add in milk, and you see what's floating there on top?
Yeah.
It's like a clotted cream that they call Qaimaq. I love it. I usually slurp down all the cream first, and then I go for the tea.
That is a unique sensation. It's like sipping like a floating egg white or something that's very, very hot. It's a great way to start the meal. So we have the lagman in front of us right now with hand-pulled noodles and then all kinds of toppings on here. What is the secret behind a good lagman?
Lagman is the most popular Uyghur dish in Kazakhstan. It starts with a huge block of dough made of flour, egg, salt, and water. Asigul flattens the dough using her knuckles, then cuts it into thin strands.
First of all, it's about the dough. There's this very subtle understanding you have to have about how much salt to put in, whether to put eggs or not, because you're creating this bendy, elastic product, and the elasticity is very specific how they make that.
She patiently rolls out each strand multiple times until they're as thin as a chopstick. Then they're ready for pulling.
How did you learn to cook like this? Is this something that was passed down from generation to generation, from YouTube tutorials?
Всему, что я умею в жизни.
Everything I've learned in life, not just cooking, I learned from my mama. They were all at home all the time. Mama was a housewife, 6 kids at home running around, and they just watched how she did it, and she absorbed it through life experience.
Asigul drops the noodles into a pot of boiling water and lets them cook. In the meantime, she prepares the noodle toppings. Oil, beef fat, and chopped beef go into a hot wok. followed by onion, salt, and a generous amount of garlic spears. She stirs them, then adds MSG, pepper, ginger powder, fresh tomato, and chili paste. After pouring in some water, she lets the mixture simmer while she retrieves the noodles from the pot. Returning to the wok, Asigul finishes the dish with fresh bell pepper, celery, and garlic. But that is just one half of our noodle toppings. The other half is scrambled eggs with salt and plenty of chives.
Ready? Oh, it looks delicious.
Right, so he says don't forget about the lajan, the spicy sauce.
This is the same chili oil that we had earlier with the Manti this morning. So I'm mixing that. Oh my gosh, these noodles are so thick and dense.
Yeah, those homemade noodles. That's what's up.
It's an incredible blend. I love it with the spice. A little bit of a kick, but not too much. It's hard to explain the flavor. There's so much going on. The noodles themselves are kind of greasy, almost oily. Al dente is the wrong word. It's just like a thick, hearty noodle that's got some nice bite to it. And the more you move it, the more you toss it around the bowl, the more slathered with oil it gets. Then on the side, we've got, some of those vegetables that taste super fresh. The beef is tender and delicious. I mean, I love this. You know, I'm curious, how do you think Uyghur cooking has influenced food in Kazakhstan?
The word Uyghur has become almost like shorthand for quality when it comes to food. So people call him and they say, are you Manti Uyghur style? That means it's going to be top notch. So all these dishes, whether it's lagman, whether it's the Manti selling, it's the goshlan, it's become part of the broader Kazakhstani cuisine.
It's amazing considering the population of Uyghur people in this country. It's 1% or less, but they've had that profound of an influence. I can see why people like this. This is one of my favorite things I've eaten so far since stepping foot into this country. But then there's this.
Sheep lungs filled with milk is quite literally what this dish is all about. Asigul prepares the filling by diluting a block of dough made from flour, egg, and salt. She strains the dough to collect the liquid, then adds cow milk, oil, eggs, and salt. Once well mixed, this blend is funneled into the empty spaces inside the sheep's lungs. Asigul massages and blows inside the lungs to clear out the air pockets, making space for more milk.
Right now, she's just finished pouring in all the milk. Now she's slipping in a potato. This is a potato cork, meant to keep all the liquids and fluids inside of the lungs. She's told me to take it and hold it, and she said, for dear God, please hold it tight. Imagine you just took the deepest breath possible, and then imagine all that was full of milk. That's what's happening here. This is one of the most unique recipes that exists in the world, and I didn't know it was a Uyghur recipe until today. From here, it's ready to be cooked. These are gonna be boiled for 2 hours, and then they'll be ready to eat. Who thought to pour milk into a sheep's lungs?
It's basically the art of making people stuffed. Kazakhs, when they take the organ meat, they'll just do a stir fry.
Right.
And that's great, that's delicious, good for them, but you can only feed so many people with that. But if you take the same organs and you stuff them with stuff, people are gonna be more stuffed.
That adds up to me. I buy it. Oh yeah. Your fork passes through it just like a 1-inch piece of tofu. You guys should make a company where you take vegan products and then you animalize them.
He said he's gonna use that from now on. Whenever people ask, I'll say it's the Uyghur tofu.
Yeah. It's great.
You know, honestly, you give that to a vegan, there's not a chance anybody would guess that was a lung.
No. So it's got a certain mushiness to it. I feel like I can taste a hint of creaminess from the dairy, but I also can feel the dough that's inside of there too. There's nothing gamey or lungy about it.
We saw how they were making it, where they took that dough and they turned it back into this watery, doughy solution, and that's what they poured into it, right? So what that means is that basically they're transforming the lungs into a glutinous product. It's like, how do you turn an animal into bread? This is Uyghur sheep bread.
That's a great way to put it. Today, for me, has been really eye-opening. As I said before, I've heard so much about Uyghur people, but now I get to hang out with you guys for the day. I get to try all your food and learn so much about the Uyghur people. And I think it would be valuable for people around the world to also know more about who these people are and what they've gone through and what they're going through now. And this is something I wanted to ask you more about, which is in China. I'm wondering if you could explain to me a little bit more about what is currently happening to the Uyghur people living there.
There's a very painful thing for Uyghurs all over the world because they've watched slowly what's happened, not just in the last few years, but through generations of how their culture, their religion is being lost and how it's being persecuted by the Chinese state.
Though Uyghur migration from China started in the late 19th century, the largest exodus to Kazakhstan came about between the 1950s and 1960s. Among those who left were Kurvan Jan's parents. In 1955, after failed Uyghur efforts to gain independence, the Xinjiang region became China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, like we see today. As the dominant ethnic group in the region, the Uyghurs' resistance to adopting Chinese culture and their pursuit for independence prompted the Chinese government to enforce assimilation. China promoted Han migration, increasing the population of China's biggest ethnic group in Xinjiang from about 7% in the 1950s to over 40% in the year 2000.
When he went there years ago, on the streets he would see Uyghur people sweeping the street, Uyghur people working shining shoes. Went back in a few years, they had all been replaced by Han Chinese.
This shift fueled decades-long ethnic tensions between Uyghurs and Han Chinese, culminating in one of the deadliest clashes in China's modern history known as the 2009 Urumqi riots. The result, 200 dead and 1,700 injured. The Chinese government framed the riots as terrorism and religious extremism, responding with escalating surveillance and military control over the Uyghur people.
The Communist Party wants to extinguish Islam, wants to extinguish religion. They say we can't even use the Muslim greeting, Assalamu alaikum, to greet each other anymore. We can't grow beards. Any external marker of Islam is a potential threat that they could be then put in prison.
Since 2017, China's crackdown has intensified with the demolition of over 2,000 Islamic structures, the forced separation of hundreds of thousands of children from their parents, and the detention of around 1 million ethnic Uyghurs in what resembles a massive internment camp shrouded in secrecy. That, according to the 2018 report by the United Nations Human Rights Office.
This is the first time that the UN, in chilling detail, has described the pattern of widespread and systematic abuses.
In 2022, the same office once again raised concerns about serious human rights violations against Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. China's representative denied both accusations.
Why aren't more Chinese Uyghurs trying to escape or come here to Kazakhstan?
What it seems like is that the Chinese government is just not letting the Uyghur people or Muslim people out of the country.
Jesus.
Maybe they're not being given passports, maybe they're not being given visas, but they're basically being kept inside of a prison. And one of the most difficult things is that we have relatives who are left over there. We have 2 brothers who are still in Xinjiang. We haven't heard from them. We don't know where they are. And that's the difficult part, is just not knowing.
It seems that conditions remain the same or get worse every year there. So why do you think there's not more of an international cry for action?
Because it's being covered up. Just as you look at TV, and what China shows are happy dancing Uyghurs. They project these images of Uyghurs being totally satisfied with their situation there, so people buy it. But at the same time, their entire way of life is being wiped out.
When I hear them both speak, they sound hopeless, which is understandable. China is a massive, powerful country that makes a lot of money for a lot of people, and they have profound influence. It's hard to imagine what any outside force could do about what's happening there. And I guess my last question is, what do you think could be done?
This is the first thing, maybe the only thing we can do is just pray. Just pray that something will change. Until there's some kind of democracy in China, until there's some kind of major change in China, we don't feel like we have a lot of hope for things to change. I would say, one hope that I see is that people like them here in Almaty in Kazakhstan can tell this story. I know that you would love to be able to go to China and talk to Uyghurs there.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But it's impossible for us to really get a true picture of what's happening there. Kazakhstan has been the place where people can come to actually hear their stories. And that's the first step, right? Is just actually telling their stories and getting people to know about it. And the more that people know about it, the more pressure there will be on China. I think I've already seen in the last few years that China has realized that the whole world was watching, and a lot of those camps are being shut down.
Yeah, absolutely right. The first step is just awareness. I just want to say thank you so much for being open and being willing to speak on a very, very difficult topic that affects and touches both of you deeply. So thank you.
Hungry for more fun food videos? Join me at more Best Ever Food Review Show, a channel that's unfiltered, raw, half the quality, and twice the fun.
Could you walk away and come back? Oh, look, the server.
Subscribe now and you probably won't regret it.
And that is the end of our Kazakhstan series. I want to say a huge thank you to Dennis for joining me today. Thank you.
Dude, my pleasure.
And you can actually book Dennis for a tour here in Kazakhstan. He speaks English, he speaks Russian, he speaks Kazakh. This guy knows his way around this place. You will not find somebody more knowledgeable than him. Go to his website now, book a tour, and experience the real Kazakhstan. That could be like a tagline for your website.
Experience the real Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Otherwise, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Peace. I say peace like that in a way. So, should we do it again?
Yeah.
No, it's okay. Let's go. This way. On to more adventures. We need to go to another stand.